Hello my dear children, this is class 9, this is my digital class. Let us start the chapter Matter in Our Surroundings. This is my second lecture. Hope you have opened NCERT books as well as your rough notebooks. Note down the little points what I will teach on this blackboard. I will daily give the lecture of 20-25 minutes. After the completion of this chapter, we will take MCQ of this chapter. So please, this is my request to all of the students, kindly note down each and every point. If you feel any problem, you can share with me on my on my account. Now let us start. What topics we have covered yesterday? 3 topics. One was what is matter. Think over it. What is matter? Matter is that which occupies space, which has a mass, and whose presence can be felt by our 4 senses. This is matter. Matter is that which occupies space, which has a definite volume, mass, and whose presence can be felt. Second question is, what is the nature of matter? Very simple, matter has a particle nature. Matter has a particle nature. This is the second question. Third is, what are the characteristics of the matter? That is, what are the characteristics of the particles present in the matter? I told you yesterday the first characteristic is particles have the spaces in between. So they have the spaces. We have shown these spaces by means of one activity where we have dissolved 1 spoon of sugar in water and there is no change in the volume of the water. Second characteristic is particles can move. Particles can move either slowly or fastly, but they can move. So again I have shown this that is by activity where the ink travel from the side of the beaker to the water. Third characteristic is particles have the attraction, maybe less attraction, maybe more attraction. So this is all about the yesterday lecture. Let us start with today's lecture. Write down classification of matter. Write down classification of matter. Today's topic is classification of matter. This is today's topic. Write down. There are 2 types of classification, physical and chemical. Physical classification is in class 9th and chemical classification is not in your syllabus, so we will take later on, but I am writing each and everything physical classification. So let us start with the physical classification. According to physical classification, matter is of 3 types. One is solid, write down solid, other is liquid, and the third is gas. There are three states: solid, liquid, gas. This is the physical classification of matter, and these can interconvert to each other. These can interconvert to each other by applying temperature and pressure. So how much temperature, how much pressure, later on everything will get clear. You just write down their interconvertible phases: solid, liquid, gas. So one by one I am taking. Write down. The first classification is solid state. Matter, solid state. You have seen around you there are so many things. Your copy, your sofa, your chair, your pen, they are solid. Write down solid state. So many of the things are in your surroundings, they are in solid phase. So what is a solid? Solid is that which has mass, definite mass, and it occupies definite volume. Definite volume. It has a shape, definite shape. Mass, shape. It has a definite shape and definite volume. Now, in solid, the particles are very closely packed. In solid, the particles are very, very closely packed. So they are so much closely packed that there is a strong force of attraction between them. There is strong force of attraction between them. They have attraction. They have attraction more stronger than the liquid phase as well as from the gaseous phase. Strong attraction because the particles are very closely packed. So it is very difficult to change the shape of solid. It is difficult to change the shape of solid by compressing. If we cannot compress because in solid the particles are very close, so it is very difficult to compress. So compressibility is less. Write down. Compressibility is less because of the less space. Every answer is based upon less space between the particles. Whatever the answer from whatever the question asked from the solid state, I think answer will be only one because of the less space. They have a high density. Solid state, they have a high density. Again the same, because the particles are very closely packed. Because of closely packed, their volume is less. Density is equal to mass by volume. Very closely packed, occupy very less volume, so they have very high density. They have very high density, and solid, they have very less degree of diffusion. I told you what is a diffusion. Diffusion is a property when one particle mix with the another particle of the different matters. So diffusion, they have the less diffusion nature. Among solids, solid cannot diffuse into solid. Now again listen, solid is that which has a definite shape and a definite volume. This is definition of solid state, which has a definite shape and definite volume. They have particles are very closely packed. They have a attraction force is stronger than liquid than gas. Very difficult to change the shape of the solid because of the attraction, because strong attraction. So difficult to change the shape, because difficult to change the shapes if they are rigid. Solids are not flexible. Few of the solid like rubber, I'm taking where you can change the shape. We can change the shape of the solid to exceptional cases. In case of rubber, by stretching the rubber, shapes changed. You release this, the force come back. Again, shape regains. This is rubber, exceptional rubber. Next is rubber. In case of rubber, you can change the shape. The moment you release the force, it come back. Sponge. Because in the sponge there are little holes, little pores. In the sponge there is little pores, and in these pores air is within these pores. So when you will compress this sponge, then air will come out, so it squeezes. So this is air present in these holes. So when you compress this sponge, air expelled out and it compressed. So otherwise solids are very rigid, very difficult to change the shape except in these one or two cases. Now solids have a high density because of this, because particles are very close, so they occupy less volume. Density is equal to mass by volume. Less the volume, more the density. Now this point is little different, so write on in detail diffusion. In the solid, rate of diffusion is less than the liquid and thus gaseous states. Why? Because the particles are very close. So this is one solid. Particles are so closed. This is another solid. Different particles, but again they are very close. This is my solid A, this is my solid B. If you want to mix it, very difficult to mix them in the solid phase, because how they can mix, they have very less space in between them. Very less space. But if it is liquid, let A is a liquid. Yesterday we have done A is a liquid. Let A is a liquid. Here A is a solid, here A is a liquid. B is solid. Very difficult to mix B in this case, but in this case B mix here. B, this is B particle, this is A particle. Because in the liquid phase, this is AA, particles are somewhat loosely packed than solid. So it's very easy to diffuse solid in the liquid, but it is very difficult to diffuse solid and solid. Very difficult. I think you came to know why it is difficult to mix the solids, because the particles are very close. How you can mix it? No space to enter. But in this case, there is a liquid, solid in liquid. It is solid in solid. This is solid in solid. Very difficult to prepare solid in solid. And here it is solid in liquid. And it is very easy to prepare. You can mix salt in water. You can mix sugar in water freely because of this. Because in liquid there is a space. So here your B particle can be accommodated. This is A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, and so on. So it's very, very difficult to mix a solid phase. But students, we can mix them. We can mix them. It is very difficult, you can see, but we can mix them. How? You know there are alloys. You know what is an alloy? Alloy is a mixture of metals. Alloy is the mixture of metals. Write down. And metals are solid. Metals are solid. So the question arises, if alloys can form, that means solid can mix. Here I am saying solids can never mix because there is very less space how the solid can mix. But other case we say alloys are there because alloy is a mixture of metals and metals are solid. There are so many alloys. Then how alloys formed? Now students, if you want to mix a solid, it is very difficult to mix a solid in the solid phase. But what you will do? You will heat those solids. You can convert it into molten phase. They will melt. Now your solid will melt. Your solid will melt. A solid and B solid. Now when these two solids will melt, you can mix now freely. After mixing, you cool the solution. This is AB. Now it has been mixed. When you cool it, it gets solidified. This becomes alloy. This is the way. So how alloy is formed? I think understand what is a solid state. So in the solid state, particles are very, very difficult to mix. Why? They have very less degree of diffusion. Why? Because of this very less space among them. But alloys are there. Then how alloy is formed? The answer is by heating, converting into molten state. Molten means melt. And after that you can mix. When you will mix, AB formed. Now you cool down, it gets solidified. It is alloy. In this way, you can make the alloys. Now students, this is your solid state going on. This is your solid state going on. And what about the liquid state? In the liquid state, liquid is that which has no shape. Solid is that which has shape. But liquid has no shape. Liquid has a definite volume. Now if I put my liquid in this conical flask, it will take the shape of the flask. If I put my liquid in the round flask, it will take the shape of the flask, round. If I put my liquid in the square box, it will take the shape of. Remember, liquids have not any shape, but they take the shape of container. Liquids take the shape of container. They have not any definite shape, but they have definite volume. 50 ml liquid, 100 ml liquid we generally say, 200 ml liquid. So liquids have a volume definite, but liquids have not any shape. Liquids take the shape of container. Now liquids, particles are not so tightly packed as in the solid state packed. In the liquid state, particles are somewhat loosely packed. They have a less force of attraction. So particles are loosely packed. So anyone can enter into these empty spaces. Solid particles can go into it, that is diffusion. Even gas can go into it. That's the reason oxygen gas is present in the seawater. and that's the reason for the life of the aquatic species. Oxygen gas soluble in the liquid phase, that is seawater, because there is a space. So liquid, in the liquid, solid can easily diffuse, gas can easily diffuse, remember this. So this is one of the example. Oxygen gas dissolved in the liquid. Why? Because of the space between these liquid particles, so gas can freely enter here. Solids, otherwise I have discussed. So in the liquid state, the particles are loosely packed as compared to the solid, but less loosely packed than gas. I am on the liquid state. Liquid is that which have less force of attraction than solid, because the particles are loosely packed. Now liquids have a high degree of diffusion, but less than gaseous state. High degree of diffusion. Diffusion means, I told you so many times, when the particles of one matter can mix with a particle of other matter. Liquids have less density as compared to solid. So remember students, solid, liquid, gas, and the liquid state is always intermediate between. It has a weak forces than solid. It has a weak forces than solid, but strong forces than gas. Same, it has a less density than, it's high density, medium density, and very less density. Strong forces, medium forces, weak forces. They have a shape as well as volume. They have not any shape, but they have volume. And gas is that which not have any shape, not have any volume. Gas state we will discuss tomorrow. So today we will take only solid and liquid state. I think you came to know these two states. So this is all about today's lecture. Solid and liquid. I have covered only 1 or 2 pages. Very slow manner we will go. And the syllabus is very less. We will complete this chapter within 4 or 5 lectures. And after that I will take MCQ of each and every topic, so that you came to know that your topic get clarified by you or not. Now this is all about today's lecture. Before completion, again I am asking you 4 or 5 questions. My first question always is, what is matter? My second question is, what is nature of matter? Third question is, particles have 3 characteristics. Can you name those 3 characteristics? Fourth is, what is the physical classification of matter, solid, liquid, gas? Today I have covered. And what is the difference between the solid and liquid phases? Gas we will take tomorrow. You have checked today, solid and liquid. What is the main difference? One difference main is that is shape. Solid have a shape, but liquid have not any shape. The second difference main is the particles are very close in solid, but little far away in case of liquid. So this is all about. Thank you so much. Next gaseous state we will take tomorrow. Thank you.